Hey guys, 66 here with a return to Kerbal Space Program, the version 0.24.2.559. Just returned to this like this weekend really, and started playing the full career mode that's been released, where you have to manage your money and research and missions and stuff, and pretty much screwed up my first career. Tried to go to Minmus, basically spent all my money, and then ran out of fuel and couldn't make it back to Kerbin. My capsule ended up getting locked in a parallel orbit to Kerbin with no fuel, so pretty much scrapped that game. Um, Started again, watched some videos, and I'm off to a much better start. Got off to a much better start. However, I have another failed capsule out there. But right now, let's just kind of review what I started with. So this was my first. Let's see. That's Science 1. Let's load Testcraft. Yeah, so here was a Testcraft. This thing I used to accomplish a couple missions. It started with, there's a mission where all you have to do is activate this booster while landed on Kerbin. There's another mission where you have to activate these boosters while at a certain altitude and all that stuff. Some of these missions were pretty tricky because you have to get at a certain altitude and a certain speed and then activate the module. You can't act like a liquid engine. You can't activate the module and then just decrease the thrust and then wait till you get to that altitude and then increase the thrust. You actually have to stage activate the module when all the parameters are checked. Like, let's see. Explore the moon. Got that. Let's see. I don't have one of those type. Well, okay, explore the. Let's see. Plant flag. Okay, here we go. Test Sepratron 1. All of these subtasks have to be checked green before you hit spacebar and stage that part. If these are not all active green on the initial activation of the part, or at least a new stage, like you already used some Sepratron 1s and they're gone, but you have another stage with Sepratron 1s, that'll count. A second stage would count, but it has to be activated when every single one of these is checked green. And then the main task will check green. So you have to know that about the missions, or otherwise you will just accept a bunch of missions and you will fail them. And this is what got me on my first career mode, is that I accepted like basically all the contracts, and then due to time acceleration and so forth, trying to get back from Minmus, failed a bunch of them. But this is the kick in the teeth. A lot of these missions, they give you an advance, and then there's a completion. Well, you would think, okay, if I failed the mission, they're going to take the advance back. No, they take more than the advance back, and in some cases, they'll take like the full reward amount back, like this one right here. Well, that's the advance and the reward. But sometimes the penalty can be severe. Like, okay, this one, Explore Duna, they're taking more than the advance back. So you can go bankrupt. I basically went bankrupt on my first career. So don't accept these. Just don't go accepting all this stuff if you're not an experienced um, Kerbal Space Program player. Like, Scott Manley or Nerd Cubed. What's that guy's name? If you're not one of those guys, you should not just be, or just a natural senior expert at this game. Do not go accepting all the missions and then try to complete them, because if you screw up, you're toast and you'll have to start all over. So I started this career basically taking on like a couple missions at a time and then completing those missions and moving on. And that's why I have some of these weird craft, because I built them specifically to complete missions. And that was it. And sometimes it was just one mission at a time. Now, on the other hand, there's some of these missions, once you complete your first couple missions and you get let's say over 50,000 credits or whatever, like this mission right here, I'll probably should hit X, because I'm never going to do that. I don't care. It's only 4 research and what's that? It's like 6,000 credits. Who cares? I'm not going to bother with that mission. And this, so these missions popped up on my flight to Minmus, and now my orbiter is screwed. So I have to send a second mission to Minmus. Anyways, I'm kind of jumping all over the place. But so you'll spend time building craft specifically to complete a mission, because the payoff will be worth it. Sometimes, like this test craft, I think one of these missions with one of these solid booster rockets paid like 30,000 credits and gave like 27 something research for a very simple mission. So of course I'm going to take that. And I'll spend 10,000 credits to profit 20 early in the game. And really the research that's the other key part of that. And I do have, let's see where I'm at now. So here's Minmus 1. Okay, I am not a science-oriented KSP player. I don't really do math. I don't do equations. I play this game like a Kerbal. I freaking add thrust and modules, and if it works, it works, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. So this got me to Minmus and almost got me back. In fact, it probably would have got me back, but I'm still not an expert at oh crap, what do you call it? Maneuver nodes. And I probably just did not take enough time to get the right maneuver node flight path and screwed it up. But this got me to Minmus, and I got a bunch of science, and I learned the trick of, I had no idea before I watched one of Scott Manley's videos where you could EVA and then take the data from experiment and then take it back in the capsule and store it. So basically you do infinite crew reports that way. Now if you take the data from a science module, it makes the science module kaput. You can't use it again. But this way you don't have to bring science modules back with you. You can do all these experiments, do an EVA, take all the data, and get back in your pod, and just land the pod, and you'd still have every bit of that science. Yeah, so I do like this little lander. So I did make a sub-assembly, Lander Mark 1, and I've been using that. But this was my Minmus craft. And it almost worked. And in fact, it probably would have worked if I was a more efficient pilot. Here, here is my Moon 1, which is, once again, probably highly inefficient. But there's my standard lander, which is not set up correctly because you need a lot more fuel to get off the moon, and that's not what I have here. I have a bunch of fuel because all these stages here, this is 1, 2, 3 stages, got me basically in orbit. I think I had to use a little bit of this. Yeah, I did have to use this stage actually to escape Kerbin, which is ridiculous that I had to use all this. This is probably way too heavy, highly inefficient. I did use a little bit of this. This has a small motor on it, by the way. So it's got the little tiny motor, so all that fuel lasts a long time. So now I'm orbiting Moon right now with these 2 stages and almost all the fuel on this, but this isn't really, I can't use this to get off Moon because I can't land with it. And all I have is this and a little motor. So I may have screwed up another, I may just be orbiting Moon and coming back. What else do I have? This is probably my first real, yeah, see, here we go. Cheap and easy. My first orbiting module. Which, there's no chutes or anything on the science module because I ran the science module, did an EVA, took the data, got back in the capsule and landed. So, there's my first basic orbiter with science module. I don't know what this is. This is cheap. Yeah, see, here was a, this was specifically to test, there was a, sometimes you can take contracts that let you use parts that you have not researched. And this was one of those instances where I could use these before I researched them. And then I took another contract to test this rocket, landed on Kerbin. So I completed 2 missions with this thing right here. And this is before I even had a Sepratron or a stack decoupler. So you'll build stuff like this in the beginning just to complete contracts. So now let's look at my situation right now, which I've kind of started reading forums about how to do, because at first I had no idea how to do a rescue contract, but now I do. So let me find, this is a pretty good payout. We get an advance of 10,000, completion of 47,000. That's pretty good pay. But see, I had no idea how to do these, and I haven't accepted one because I thought I had to wait till I researched multiple Kerbin capacity modules. Nope. What do? I read the forums, or I watch the video and learn that all you have to do is stick a Sputnik, Stay Putnik, basically a what is this, a probe computer on top of an empty capsule. And then you just remove the Kerbin from your crew. So I have 2 Kerbins in space right now. And then you have an empty seat, an empty capsule to put your rescued Kerbin in. So now I know that. I'm going to have to put that to use. Not just for that contract, but for my own. I'm stubborn. And I do not want to let all that research go to waste. So here we go. Let's see. Yep. So here's the situation. Here's Minmus 1. Which, oh dear God, he's going to run into the moon again. This is the problem I ran into. I screwed up exit from Minmus. Got into a planetary orbit with Kerbin. But it seemed like no matter what I did, and I know this isn't true. I just was impatient, but no matter where I put the damn um, maneuver node, I was going to get intercepted by the moon. So I'm basically running out of time now. 3 days. Great. I have 3 days to rescue Jebediah and all that science. Um, let's select him. Minmus 1. Yeah, he's been out here for a while. And oof, electricity is running low. Yep. So I've used all the experiments on this craft. I passed Kerbin and got close enough to where I could transmit two experiments at full research. So I got like it was like either 50 or 70 research from that. But there's still probably over 100 research on this vehicle. So yeah. So I want to recover it, and I want to recover Jebediah, who's my most famous Kerbal. So let's go back. Map. Oh, nope. Shoot. Oh, I gotta go all the way back to... Do I? Switch to. Here we go. So now here's Bill. With tons of fuel in this bottom stage. And a good orbit around Moon. Most of his science left to do. Yep, we got 2 experiments left. We got the science module left. You know, but I'm afraid to land because this is the only fuel that I have. That's it. And a small motor. And I'm afraid I can't escape. And I don't have any mods. I don't even know how to calculate delta V. So I'm afraid this may be a failed mission to the moon. So let's go ahead and that's my situation. My return to Kerbal Space Program in the career mode, vanilla career mode, no mods, and I'm an average at best Kerbal pilot, I guess you could say. So this is the situations you may find yourself in. So we'll go ahead and cut this episode, and then the next episode we'll start where we're building our rescue craft. And we're going to go ahead and attempt to get Jebediah Kerbin, which I've never done before, match the orbit and all that stuff, before he gets trapped by the moon, which, yeah, it's going to be a problem. So, we'll see you in the next episode.